All right, so I kind of took apart the kit here, which kind of sucks, but like I said, I didn't do that good of a job with it, and I can always buy a new one if I ever wanted to build the kit again. But these parts are pretty much my blueprints for building this this bigger model. But I needed to get the engine out of it because the first thing I want to start on is the engine. Now, one thing I realized is that this kit is supposed to be 1/12 scale. So theoretically, you take any dimension, take it times 4, and that'll give you 1/3 scale. What I found out, though, is this kit is not exactly 1/12 scale. It's more like 1/13, give or take-ish. I've got to take every dimension times 4.12 or something like that. I got to double check it. So I thought I would start making the cylinder and the heads. And so by taking the dimensions here, I just 3D printed. This is a cylinder and a head, just half of it. And when laying that on the model, or on the laying it on the photo here, or the drawing here, it's a little bit too small. And plus the piston in the weed eater engine doesn't fit in there. So that wouldn't work. So that's when I realized I had to scale it up a little bit bigger. And so then I printed this. So this is the original, that's the new one. And this is pretty much an exact fit for my 1/3 scale picture here. And I'm basing this as 1/3 scale because I looked at the dimensions of the real bike on basically the length from, you know, the front of the front wheel to the back of the rear wheel, and dividing that by 1/3, and I had this printed to that size. So that's the size of the piston and cylinder, well, the cylinder and the head, there and there. And so from this, I then went ahead and did a cylinder and a head and a cover. Now I know on the real bike, it's not a separate cover. That's all like one piece. To make life a little bit easier for me, I decided to make it as a removable cover. Now I also, to help me here, I'm using these pictures. So again, I found this image online, and I scaled that and printed it to where this was 1/3. So that's that size. And what I realized is the bore of the real bike, the real engine. By the way, it's a Ducati 851. But I did a search. I did an image search for Ducati 851, and I came up with these figures. And then later I found out it's not really an 851. But looking at photos back and forth, they look the same. I don't see any differences. I'm going to call it same enough, I guess. They look like the model parts, you know. So I'm kind of going by this and the model parts. But anyways, what I realized was when I took the weed eater engine apart, and this is a Troy built. I showed you this on the earlier video. It's a Troy built 4-stroke. I forget the exact size, whether it's 25cc or 30cc. I'm kind of drawing a blank on that. It might be 20 or 25cc. But the piston is just a little over 1 inch. So this is the piston out of one of them. And I had 2 of those engines. And again, on a real bike, the stroke is about 3.6, 3.62, somewhere on there. This is about, I forget. And I know this is the piston and not the bore. But that's 1 1/4. Take that times 3, you got 3.75. The real bike is 3.62. That, to me, is perfectly close enough. So basically, I scaled that to where this measured across here, which I know technically you're not supposed to measure lines on a drawing, but it's good enough. I did that to where it measured approximately here, and I'm making it to that size. And so based on this and the model kit engine, I printed this. This is the cylinder. Now I took the rings off of the piston just so it wouldn't catch on here and be a little bit easier for me. And I got to hone it out a little bit, but you can see it starts to go. So it's a little bit tight, but that's fine. So there's the cylinder and the head. And you'll notice that on this head, I left spot for 2 valves. And again, the valves out of this engine fit on here almost perfect. Diameter is perfect. The length, they were a little bit short, but not that bad. And so I did this first one with just 2 valves. And you can see where they came out here and here. And of course, the camshaft. This is out of the Ryobi. It's a Ryobi 4-stroke. Again, it's about 25-ish cc, 25 or 30 cc, I forget exactly. But you know, that'll sit here. Obviously, this wheel is way too big. I need it like probably less than half that size. But I'll use the cam. And but the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking, man, I really want 4 valves. I just did 2 because they fit. But the problem with this is there's not enough room for a spark plug. The only way I could get a spark plug in here is if I put the spark plug up here and made like a tunnel right in here for the spark plug to pass through. And I would put that on the side where the belts are, so the belts would hide that and you wouldn't see it. But I was really wanting 4 valves. The problem with 4 valves is this dimension here is too thin. Now, on the real engine, they use 2 cams. They use an opening cam and a closing cam, and so that way they don't have return springs. They have a cam and a lever to actually pull the valve back up instead of a spring. I'm not going to do that because, again, I'm trying to give myself some kind of a chance of actually making this work, and I'm not capable of doing that. I don't even know if I'm capable of doing what I'm trying to do, but I know I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to use the return springs that were out of the Weed Eater engine. And if I put 2 valves in here side by side, those return springs are wider than that is. So what I did was I went back into my CAD program and I made this one. So again, cylinder, the cover, this still has the support material in it from being printed. And there it is with the 4 valves. And that gives me a bigger hole for a spark plug. So I got more room for a spark plug. I got all 4 valves in there. And if you push, I don't know if we can see that, you can see valves opening. So they work. And see if we can get a light in here so you guys can see. You can kind of see the passageways through there, kind of. Yeah, not very good. There's the intake, so here's the intake side here. Yeah, that's bad with the lighting. But there's the intake side and the exhaust side. And I got the 4 valves. Still able to use the same cam. Now right now that cam does not reach the valves. I'm going to have to make a plate. What would he call it? Like a rocker plate or something to go in here, just like the roll bike. And so as the cam comes around, it would press on that plate, which would press the valves open. And there's my spark plug opening. Now the problem with that spark plug opening is it does not fit a spark plug that I have. Now when I drew the hole, I knew it wouldn't fit. I'm hoping that there are skinnier spark plugs. I'm going to leave my website in the description of the video. If any of you know of skinnier spark plugs, I mean, I'm going to go to the local like small engine repair shops and see if they know of skinnier spark plugs. But I'm kind of thinking maybe people who are in the RC airplane world, who fly RC airplanes with little 4-stroke motors. I'm assuming those spark plugs are smaller. And I saw some of them on eBay, but it's really hard to tell like the diameter of them because they don't tell you the diameter of them. So I don't know if one of those would fit in here or not. I'm hoping one would. So I need skinnier spark plugs. So again, if you have any information on skinny spark plugs, either leave it in a comment or go to my website and click on Contact Me and let me know what you know about spark plugs. But I had to make that wider. So this right here is actually, right there is actually too wide for scale. The head is still good. This part here is a little wider than I wanted. I had to widen that out. Otherwise the mounting holes, the head bolt holes here, would have been way too close to the side edge. So I had to widen all of this as I widened this. but I left this top part here the same. So if you compare it to the first one I did with only 2 valves. So it's not that much wider, a couple of millimeters total. So it's not perfect to scale, but it'll work. And plus, once it's in the bike, you're never even going to see this. So, and I just realized, I don't know if I ever even told you guys what the plan is. The plan is to make this engine 3D printed, and then once I get all of the geometry worked out and all of the parts figured out, I'll then take all the 3D printed parts like this, and I'll do castings, lost PLA castings. Maybe some of them I could do just normal sand castings. I mean, not these. These would have to be lost PLA. But maybe some of the crankcase parts or covers I can just do normal sand castings. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience with castings. I did a video like years ago showing this little V8 engine that I did a lost wax casting of. It was kind of my first lost wax casting experiment. And it failed. I mean, it looks good. You would only know the failure if I pointed it out to you, maybe. But I learned a lot from that, and I'm still learning how to do stuff like that. So I'm sure these parts will take a couple of tries to get them to work. But like I said, this is my long-term project. I plan on working on this for several years while doing other stuff in between. But this is where I'm at now. So I've got the, again, the cylinder, the head. I've got the through holes for the bolts, and of course, cover here. We'll use this cover since I got all the supports removed. So, so there's that, pretty much ready to go. Now, when I'm ready to do the castings, I'm going to have to reprint them all a little bit bigger because aluminum castings, they shrink a little bit. So I'll probably have to print these, I don't know, 3 or 5 or 10% bigger. I got to figure that out as well. And but I'm using these as like a blueprint to know, you know, like I said before, to get all of the geometry and the size and the shape and everything correct. But that's where I'm at. What I need to do now is start printing or figuring out and printing the crankcase. And I have a feeling that's going to be a pain in the butt. But that's the next step, is to start printing out that crankcase and getting going on that. But yeah, so far, I think it's coming along pretty cool. Now, I do need help from some of you, if you can. I really need more parts, more engine parts. I need 4 more valves. Again, those valves came out of, that's a sticker that came off of it. TB 425, I don't know if that's 25cc, probably 4-stroke 25cc. I'm not sure what the numbers mean, plus it's torn off. So if any of you have any Troy-built 4-stroke engines, like what I'm using, I need 2 more, because I need 4 more valves, and each engine only has 2 valves. So I need 2 more of those engines, and I also need 3 more of the Ryobi's. I've already taken it apart, but it's one of these Ryobi's. This is one that has the belt drive that went here, and apparently these engines are junk. Now, the piston on this is too big. The valves are too big. The only thing I can use out of this is the camshaft. Now, if I can't get more of these, I've already been thinking about how I can grind new cams. Grinding cams isn't that big of a deal. It's just more time and more parts to make. So anything I can get that I don't have to make is better. That's why I'm not making all the valves and the pistons. I'll probably have to make a new crankshaft because the stroke isn't right. And I know I'm going to have to make connecting rods because the ones on these engines are too long. Camshafts I could make, but if anybody has any of these old Ryobi's and you want to send them my way, again, go to my website. I'll leave a link in the description. Click on the Contact Me. And if it's something you want a few bucks for, that's fine. Let me know, and I'll pay for shipping. You know, I'm more than happy to pay for shipping. But if you have some junk ones you want to get rid of, then that would be great. And even though the only thing I'm using would be the cams, I'll save all the other parts for future projects maybe. And this aluminum, I'll probably melt it down to cast all of this. I mean, that's good aluminum. That's what it was used for. So I know it's the right kind of aluminum. So that'll get cleaned up and melted down for casting all of these parts. And I forget what kind of Ryobi it is, what size it is, but hopefully if you're looking at this, you know what it is. I just found this at the farmer's market for like $5. And I got lucky because a lot of the Ryobis, what I've seen online, the cams are plastic. This one had metal cams. So don't send me one with plastic cams. I need metal cams. Now, if you go to my website, just do me a favor, don't make fun of it. I know it's old. I know it's dated. I made this website probably 12 years ago, and I haven't even looked at it in probably 3 or 4 years, and I haven't even touched it or modified it or updated it in probably 5 or 7 years. So I know it's not a nice looking website, so, you know, you don't have to make fun of me, because I know it's bad. All right, so I don't want this video to be too long. Sorry, I'm just wiping the oil off my hands here. So like I said, I don't want the video to be too long. I just wanted to give you a heads up on what I'm doing and where I'm at. When I'm done with this process, I'll pretty much have a 3D printed engine with metal parts inside of it. Which, you know, worst case scenario, if I can't get the Roland to run, or if I just can't do the castings or whatever, which there's a pretty good chance I'm not going to be able to do it. I mean, this is, you know, I'm hoping you guys don't get too excited about this because, like I said, I don't want to, you know, make a bunch of promises and then let you all down. So I'm not making any promises. I'm just trying it because, again, this is an idea that I've had for a while, and I just thought I should go ahead and start on it and see what happens. So anyways, it'll probably be a while before I do another video on this one, because it's going to take me a long time to get that crankcase done. And that'll also give me an opportunity to figure out the bearings and the seals and the gears and stuff like that. So, as always, thanks for watching.